Tonight, Senator Barack Obama introduces his running mate, veteran Senator Joseph Biden of Delaware, at their first joint appearance.
And I am proud to stand firm with the next President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
I'm Kelly Wallace. Also tonight, we'll take an in-depth look at Joe Biden and we'll examine the pros and cons of Obama's choice. It's welcome weekend on many college campuses where parents and students are debating a new proposal to lower the drinking age to 18. And we'll introduce you to the man who invented the trampoline nearly 8 decades ago and lived to see it become an Olympic sport.
This is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening. After a 2-month secretive selection process, Senator Barack Obama tapped a Senate veteran and Washington insider instead of younger candidates more in line with his campaign for change. What does the selection of Senator Joseph Biden of Delaware say about Obama and his chances for the White House? We have extensive coverage, beginning with Dean Reynolds covering the Obama campaign.
Barack Obama was almost reverential.
He is one of the finest public servants of our time.
So excited to make the introduction, he blew the line.
So let me introduce to you the next president, the next vice president of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
A Washington insider of 35 years who first went to the Senate when Obama was 11, Joe Biden has the experience that Obama lacks, but he is hardly an agent of change. News of his selection first vibrated millions of cell phones at 3 a.m. The timing forced because news began leaking to reporters. The texting was more than a communication strategy, though, because millions signed up at Obama's website to get the news. The campaign now has a trove of emails and cell phones for use in get-out-the-vote efforts. The Republicans were quick to diminish the choice as a mistake, rolling out an ad in the wee hours of the morning with some embarrassing sound.
You were asked, is he ready? You said, I think he can be ready, but right now I don't believe he is. The presidency is not something that lends itself to on-the-job training.
I think that I stand by the statement.
That was then, and this is now. And maybe it was the heat of the day, but Biden's doubts certainly seem to have lifted.
A man who will be the next President of the United States, Barack America.
In fact, the Delaware senator has had a history of verbal slips that have hurt him politically. But he is a polished campaigner nonetheless, who loves to mix it up with Republicans. And this afternoon, he went right to work.
These times require more than a good soldier. They require a wise leader.
But there is this. By selecting a man with such a long record of accomplishment who can match John McCain bill for bill and deed for deed, Obama may be running a bit of a risk in the minds of voters. Because seeing the two on stage, one could ask a question. And the question is this: why would the man with the limited resume be at the top of the ticket instead of the man with that long record of accomplishment? Kelly?
Dean Reynolds reporting from Springfield. Dean, thanks so much. Well, Obama called Biden a scrappy kid from Scranton, Pennsylvania, who beat the odds. He brings a powerful personal story to the ticket, along with a tendency to sometimes put his foot in his mouth. More now from Kimberly Dozier.
35 years plus on Capitol Hill. You cannot call this 65-year-old senator from Delaware inexperienced. Joe Biden was first elected when he was just 29 years old. But his life has been tempered by tragedy. Shortly after that election, he lost his first wife and a daughter in a car accident. His 2 sons were gravely injured. Biden told CBS he had to be convinced to take up his Senate seat, sworn in at his son's bedside.
I didn't feel whole. I felt like a piece of me died.
The man his father called Champ fought his way back, rising through the ranks to chair the powerful Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Biden voted to authorize the war in Iraq, which may provide a counterpoint to Barack Obama's opposition to the invasion. But this oft-described past master at American foreign policy is also known as a gaffe master, including on matters of race.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
And of course, that infamous offhand comment aimed at his now running mate.
The first sort of main mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and nice looking guy.
Still, some believe Biden's willingness to speak his mind could now prove his greatest asset against the Republicans.
So that role of an attack dog is something I think Biden's quite comfortable with,
leaving Barack Obama to be the gentleman in the race.
When it comes to credibility on national security, Biden has a very personal connection to the issue of Iraq. His son starts a National Guard tour there later this year. Kelly?
Kimberly Dozier reporting from Washington. Kimberly, thanks so much. For some analysis of how Obama made his decision and what impact it could have on the race, we're joined from Denver by Bob Schieffer, CBS News' chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation, and senior political correspondent Jeff Greenfield. Bob, let me begin with you. There has been so much speculation about exactly who Obama would choose as his running mate. What intelligence have you picked up about the decision process?
I think in the beginning, Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, were looking for someone they could be comfortable with, somebody who'd send out the same message that they stood for, and that is change. But as this campaign wore on, we're told that a couple of weeks ago, some of the senior advisors came to them and said, look, there are gaps in your resume. We have got to put some heft on this ticket. That's what's showing up in the polls. And so that's how they came to Joe Biden.
Jeff, you know, Senator Biden has been very friendly with John McCain in the past. In fact, today he even called John McCain his friend. How does he backtrack now and go after the Republican presidential nominee?
I think it's more in sorrow than in anger. We heard some of that today from Springfield. I expect him to contrast the John McCain he knew versus the John McCain who won the Republican nomination. He used to be against tax cuts for the rich. Now he's for them. He once called Pat Robertson an agent of intolerance. Now he's actively seeking the support of very conservative ministers. I think it'll be that kind of tone that the underlining message, which he'll never say, is he sort of sold his soul to win the nomination.
And Bob, a question a lot of people are asking tonight is, what impact will the choice of Biden have on Hillary Clinton supporters?
Well, the fact of the matter is that half the people at this convention are Hillary Clinton supporters. So a big part of this convention would like to have seen her on the ticket. But she is going to get two big nights. She'll speak on Tuesday night. It'll be Hillary Clinton night. We'll hear from her husband. I think what the Obama people are hoping that they will have a chance, the Hillary Clinton people will, to sort of have her moment in the spotlight, take note of the historic race she won. Then the Obama people are hoping they'll all swing behind Obama and that everybody will come out of this convention remembering the Thursday night speech when Barack Obama goes before more than 70,000 people in the football stadium next door here. That's going to be quite a picture. It's going to be quite a night. And that's what the Obama people hope will bring everybody together and really jumpstart this campaign.
All right, Bob and Jeff, we have to leave it there. Thanks so much. And Bob, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on Face the Nation. And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, swing states and swing voters. Tonight, why Hispanics could hold the key to the White House. But up next, could a lower drinking age help colleges fight binge drinking? It's the storm that just won't go away. Almost a week after it first hit the state, Tropical Storm Faye made a record fourth landfall early today on the Florida Peninsula. At least 11 deaths from flooding and accidents in Florida are blamed on Faye, which has dumped up to 25 inches of rain in some places. Many members of the class of 2012 are beginning their college experience this weekend. But even before the first class, they find themselves caught up in a new uproar over binge drinking and how to fight it. Sandra Hughes has more.
University campuses across the country are beginning to show the first signs of life.
It's a small little TV.
It's freshman move-in weekend at Loyola Marymount University.
It's just so hard to have them grow up.
And parents and students have lots to worry about, including...
What's it going to be like when your parents are gone and the kids say, Regina, let's go to the party?
I like to have fun, but I am not, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker.
Freshman Regina Johnson and her parents have talked about the consequences of binge drinking. But one thing they weren't prepared for, a group of presidents from 100 U.S. colleges and universities saying they want people to consider changing the legal drinking age to 18.
2016.
They're not reducing drinking. They're simply driving that behavior behind closed doors into the very kinds of locations that are ideal for only one thing, and that one thing is binge drinking.
The drinking age varied from state to state, some set at 18, most at 21, until the 1980s, when soaring drunk driving deaths led states to mandate the age at 21.
There are decades of scientific peer-reviewed studies that make clear that lowering the legal drinking age will result in more deaths, more injuries, more heartache, and more carnage on our roads.
Amid a backlash of opposition, some of the university presidents said what they really wanted was to spark a debate over the drinking age, because binge drinking on college campuses has become such a problem.
I'm looking forward to really having that sense of freedom and responsibility. Hopefully keep it under control.
Annie's dad likes the idea of lowering the drinking age.
Maybe they're a little more supervised in a bar rather than at someone's house and, doing beer bongs and drinking kegs of beer and everything. We were all in college and we know what happened.
An idea that's sure to send chills down the spine of most parents. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Back to politics now. The Democratic Party kicks off in just 2 days in Denver, which is hosting its second Democratic convention. The city's spruced up and ready for its moment in the spotlight. And Mark Strassman is there to tell us about it. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Kelly. It's been exactly 100 years since Democrats met in Denver to nominate their hope for the White House. And like the party, this city is determined to get this convention right. Denver's used to Rocky Mountain highs. But like the Obama girl, this city's suddenly smitten.
I'm a huge Obama fan.
With Obama mania.
2 Obamanators, guys.
Obamanator beer, now on tap at Wincoops. Here in the Napa Valley of beer, with all its microbreweries.
When you drink it, you get the nice crisp hops.
Brewmaster Andy Brown created Obamanator.
It's strong beer and it's unique. And that's what comes across about Obama.
Haley McCormick says Obamanator tastes like a winner.
It's an intelligent beer because you have to know your beer to know that this is a good beer. Obama, of course, is an intelligent candidate.
Here's his chili and peppers that he cooks real slow.
Denver's Brown Palace Hotel serves chili straight from Obama's own recipe. But like many voters, the chef is undecided.
I hope that Obama's a better statesman than a chef, but he's not a bad chef.
50,000 Democrats will soon be a mile high. Denver wants them to leave unified about the city.
We want them to say, wow, Denver did it right. This was the best convention we've ever been to.
But with Democrats, doing it right means keeping it green. Bikes anyone can borrow. Meals catered in healthy colors like red and green.
So that the food is locally produced. There's been requests for organic food.
So Republicans like Mike Schoper drink to forget. His beer of choice, not Obamanator.
What do you think it tastes like?
Well, I don't know if I can say that.
But mostly Obama is the toast of the town.
If he came in here, would you buy him one?
I'd make him buy me one. Are you kidding?
You want your vote?
Yeah.
Some of the 4,400 Democratic delegates are already here, but Senator Obama doesn't fly in until Wednesday night. Democrats are hoping Obama mania will follow him out of Denver. Kelly?
Should be an interesting week. Mark Strassman reporting from Denver. Thanks so much, Mark. And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, we'll talk to Hispanic voters, a key voting bloc in states like Colorado. The Democrats picked Colorado for their convention site in an effort to switch this traditionally Republican red to Democratic blue. One group that could hold the key to victory for either party is Hispanic voters. Tonight in our series on swing states and swing voters, we look at the nation's fastest growing minority group in the crucial state of Colorado.
To win Colorado, Barack Obama will be counting on the support of Hispanic voters like Chris Meza.
I am afraid of 4 more years of the same. I think Obama brings a very fresh look to small business, to urban development, becoming more green.
Meza's construction company helped build this park where Denver's old airport stood. He's hooked on Obama's message for change.
He's got a really solid program.
In Colorado, where an estimated 12% of voters this November will be Hispanic, winning their votes is a key to victory. The same can be said about neighboring New Mexico, Nevada, and Florida. States President Bush carried by less than 5% in 2004, while winning more than 40% of the Hispanic vote, a record for a Republican presidential candidate.
In those close elections, and we've seen in the last 2 presidential elections, the Hispanic vote will make the difference.
Federico Pena was the first Hispanic mayor of Denver and served in Bill Clinton's cabinet. He says there is little difference between issues that are important to Hispanic Americans and everybody else.
What are people concerned about? Jobs in the economy, health care, rising gasoline prices. And then there is this very emotional issue that has more emotion than, in some cases, real affect on Hispanics, and that's immigration.
The Republican Party's at times harsh rhetoric on immigration has alienated some Hispanic voters, but John McCain has embraced more moderate views.
I appreciate the fact that he's willing to stand up against his party on an issue like that.
For Deidre Garcia, whose Denver construction company faces rising costs for fuel and steel, it is McCain's pledge to continue the Bush tax cuts that is most appealing.
And the best way to have a negative effect on small businesses is to raise their taxes. I think McCain understands that. I think he pretty clearly understands that.
In the conservative bastion of Colorado Springs, Mayor Lionel Rivera believes his constituents will see McCain's military service as making him more qualified to be commander-in-chief.
I think that's critical right now with what's going on in Afghanistan, Iraq, and now in Georgia and Russia.
Rivera says Hispanics tend to be culturally conservative, which could also help McCain.
By and large, they're Catholic. By and large, we believe in a traditional family. We believe in a pro-life stance.
Colorado Democrats have cut into the Republican advantage in registered voters with major drives in places like Pueblo, a heavily Hispanic city. But Pueblo Democrat Silverio Salazar, who supported Hillary Clinton, is crossing over to McCain because he thinks Obama doesn't have enough experience for the job.
Who would the world powers be more likely to challenge? Somebody with Senator McCain's experience in foreign policy and what he would do, or Senator Obama?
And no Democratic presidential candidate has carried Colorado since 1992. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, the man who put the bounce in one Olympic sport. At the Beijing Olympics, 3 more gold medals for the U.S. team. Americans won both the men's and women's 1,600-meter relays, and the U.S. women beat Australia in basketball. Earlier this week, China swept the gold medals in a sport that was born right here in the USA. Celia Hatton reports on the man who made it all possible and gave the sport its bounce.
The kids at this Beijing Gymnastics Academy bounce on a trampoline thanks to 94-year-old American inventor George Nissen.
Today, George Nissen will demonstrate the relatively new American sport of trampolining.
I really got the idea from a circus.
George was just 17 when he created his masterpiece, but after selling a half a dozen, his father told him to move on.
He says, now you've saturated the market, when are you going to get a real job?
George set off to sell the world on trampolines, even challenging a kangaroo. That led to a boom in bouncing. But George set his sights even higher, aiming for the Olympics. But the skeptics once again spoke up.
It'll be the year 2000 before you get that. And of course, that's just like saying give up.
For more than 60 years, George Nissen stuck to his idea that trampolining could be a legitimate sport, noting that some people are naturally skilled at the trampoline, while others can only bounce.
Once you've seen it once, you realize the terrific skill, precision, technique, and strength that these athletes have. And so if diving belongs in the Olympics, so does trampoline.
Trampoline debuted at the Sydney Games and it stuck. Now George is in Beijing to boost the U.S. team. Most Americans don't realize trampoline's an Olympic event.
Oh, I have one of those in my backyard. I'm like, no, it's not like a backyard trampoline at all. It's completely different.
Happy to be back near a real trampoline, George shows off a few tricks, even stepping on his creation for the first time in years.
I just feel like I could really turn over.
To find it still brings out the kid in everyone. Celia Hatton, CBS News, Beijing.
And that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Kelly Wallace. Tomorrow, Katie Couric will anchor the Evening News from Denver, including an exclusive interview with John McCain in which he says he still hasn't made up his mind about a running mate. Good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
CBS News. Experience you can trust.